Season 7, Episode 15, Triple Threat. It's a Spike-centric episode. Those are dodgy sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, okay, it wasn't that bad of a Spike-centric episode if you just completely ignore Spike.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it had its ups and downs. It wasn't. Oh, what was it? The one with the Dragon's Code and that sort of thing in Applejack, and that was just stupid. That was just stupid. This, he acts like Spike, but he's, it's not a great episode for him.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a fine episode. It's just not a good episode for him necessarily. In this one, they kind of flip stereotypes. In this case, the female is too aggressive and competitive, and the male is too passive. So they kind of flip that stereotype in this one. So we open up, Spike's nervous. He's made a list. Twilight has been influencing him.
I bet.
He's heavily under the influence of Twilight, and thus lists are a thing. In which case, we set up our premise with he accidentally invited Thorax on the same day as Ember.
Oh my god, really?
Cue 90s kind of sitcom cheesy music. Wah, wah. That was this episode in a nutshell. It was like all those sitcom episodes where the guy tries to invite two on a date at the same time, and he doesn't want them to meet. I mean, it's for a different reason, but and so the whole episode is one long gag of trying to keep them separate and trying to cover that you're seeing one and not the other. Did Doc get out on us? Anyway, and apparently Thorax is easily distracted by, ooh, shiny. Because he's with the flame and the ice and whatnot. He's easily distracted. Spike is generally...
Hey, he's anything after my own heart.
Spike is worried that the two personalities will clash and causing anger and conflict, perhaps even war. This one assumption drives the whole episode. Which...
It's not like they're yaks.
Yeah, it makes the whole episode sort of strain. The whole premise and thing just strain almost to the breaking point under that sort of thing. It's one of those things where, everybody has to go pick up an idiot ball for the episode, because if they just dealt with it and had faith in the two getting along, or faith that they could resolve any conflict that came up, this whole episode's premise and problem evaporate.
Yeah, it goes poof.
Yeah. Oh, and I love that Ember's arrival, because now all I can think of is the Deadpool bit where he's like, she's gonna do the superhero landing. She's gonna do the superhero landing. That is so hard on the knees,
Oh, it is, definitely.
So, Ember makes the observation that the Ponyland is bright and colorful, and the Dragonlands are rock and ash. Her Flame sneeze quickly gives a rather believable explanation as to that. And we find out that Ember can't tell Twilight and Starlight apart.
You look exactly the same. You're purple with like blonde hair and you have sparkly bits in your booty. He didn't say it like that.
Yeah, both of your cutie marks are like sparkly things. You're both purple. You're both unicorns. It's like you're very similar. I think that might have been a little meta joke with trying oh, she's too similar to Twilight. She's Twilight's mini me. Essentially trying to we're gonna set the clock basically back on Twilight, back to the beginning of the series, and run it again. We're gonna do it through Starlight, though she has definitely gained a bit of a personality of her own. She's a lot more snarky than Twilight ever was. They are very similar, but Starlight's a bit more snarky. She can get away with being a little more snarky about things.
Yeah.
Ember eats the crystal serving dish in the walls while they try and keep her occupied with a banquet. She's literally eating Twilight out of house and home.
Yeah.
So
for little things, she can eat a lot.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're trying to keep Thorax occupied by Twilight discussing her chair system. Which, I mean, she's not that obsessed with chairs, but it really wouldn't surprise me if she did have a chair system.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Tries to keep Thorax distracted with the chairs.
I am so glad you added the of house and home to that statement you made about Ember.
Yeah. Well, you can't really...
Otherwise, that was totally different visual.
Oh, yeah. Phrasing. Phrasing.
Although I'm sure there are plenty of people who would enjoy seeing that as well.
Oh, I'm sure
there's probably fan art of it already.
Oh, there definitely.
Oh, yeah.
There's gotta be. But yes, phrasing. Let's see. So yeah, Twilight explains her chair system as a distraction to.
Sure, Twilight. It was a distraction.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Twilight did in fact have a chair system like that, if that was really her chair system. Yes, I only use the stiff chair for studying, and I use the big comfy chair for relaxing and reading.
And I use this chair because it's just right.
Yeah. So in the midst of all of this stress over, keeping Ember and Thorax apart and all this stuff, then on top of all that, when really it's the underlying problem of the whole thing, the map goes, "Hey Spike, you've got a friendship problem to solve." Boom. And hits him over the head with the blinking scales.
Who didn't predict that he was the friendship problem?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. It's like, unless you just turn your brain off when you watch it, that But it was pretty well telegraphed. Like, yep, yep.
Yeah, like.
Otherwise,
I wonder what it could be.
It's Chekhov's gun. It's like, it's going to come up. There's if the friendship problem if Ember and Thorax weren't the problem, then there's no reason to put that there.
Yeah.
But he tries to look outside for it, thinking he's got another problem to deal with, a third problem to deal with, when it really is dealing with the two problems he already has. Where he actually finds Bon Bon and Lyra arguing about vanilla strawberry cream flavored cupcakes. And so we get the best friends talking on screen again. So he solves the problem, but it doesn't finish the quest. The crystal wall decorations give Ember the wrong idea that it was custom to decorate the walls in her favorite foods, which will come up a bit later. So Ember gets a little annoyed, as at this point has kind of been fed up with Spike, kind of avoiding her. And she goes a little tsundere on him. Doesn't really, not, you know, kind of off to the side. I'm so annoyed at him avoiding me, you know. Spike runs back into Thorax, who admits he has a leadership problem, and there's a renegade group of changelings still following the old ways. Which
answers our question if there were any other changelings still out there. I guess the answer is yes.
Yeah, so that's a quick way of answering that question in a way that makes sense in universe for why he would be discussing it. So that whole setup with the weird crystal, her eating the walls sort of thing, comes into one of the, you know, one of the saddest moments of this entire show. The misunderstanding about rubbing foods in the wall leads to one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the show, as Ember takes Derpy's muffin and rubs it on the side of a house.
Yes.
My heart broke when I saw that.
Really, I just laughed uncontrollably at Derpy's reaction. But then I'm eating, so.
Fans.
But then I'm evil, so that's okay.
You took her muffin. Phrasing.
Oh, dear God.
The wall. How dare you?
But that was a nice little setup and joke. It was already mildly funny when you did it with the walls, and then you do that, and it's like, oh, that's what you were setting that up for. Ember continues to confuse Twilight and Starlight again, saying they act and look so much alike. It's I guess a little meta humor. I already kind of covered that though. So Spike decisively and quickly deals with a friendship problem over a chair by adding another chair from his table to that table, and like, you should be getting along. You're both ponies. You both like this restaurant. You both like these cupcakes. And it seems like he might have been a little too effective, because the two almost instantly cozy up right next to each other, back to back. You know?
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want to come to my place?
It was a very, you know, it's like they were quite happy about it. So I mean, it could be they're just becoming very quick friends, or, you know, Spike kicked off something a little more than that. It would be funny if in future episodes they took those two ponies and used, you know, always set them together, just as a, you know, oh yeah, Spike helped them meet, you know, phrasing.
I mean, it's like what we were talking about before. At least he can become whatever size and shape she needs, as far as friendship goes.
What?
Of course.
Well, I mean, it was two ponies that were doing it, not Thorax, that were meeting, phrasing there, but that were sitting next to each other and cozying up.
Oh.
It was two ponies doing it, not phrasing again, but it was two ponies that were sitting and cozying up like that. So, I mean,
Oh, I thought you were talking about when they were sitting and hanging out, Thorax and whatever, and Ember.
oh no, this was earlier when it was just Spike and Thorax, and he sees those two arguing over a chair. This mare and stallion arguing over a chair. Then he slides another chair up says, "Well, you both like the same things. You've gone to the same restaurant. Why don't you just get along here?" And they get along a little too well.
Yeah, well, come back to my place.
They just sat next to each other, but they're like pressed up against each other, and they're both smiling a little too much. It's like, you're being a little bit of a Cupid there, Spike. But anyway, so Spike sees Ember while talking with Thorax, and then disappears again, which makes Thorax feel abandoned again and kind of destroyed.
Which also answers another question that apparently changelings can still change.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Ember yells at Spike. Thorax sees it as a threat and goes bear mode. Yeah,
he was burying his soul to her.
So they start to go for one another, and Spike stops them. They both feel insulted that Spike didn't trust them to be able to be near one another without fighting, and fly off, even though when they first saw each other, they did start fighting, but that was a lot of Spike's fault anyway.
I mean, sheesh, Spike. It's not like they're yaks.
So then one of the best parts of this episode, one of the most kind of believable sort of parts of this episode, if you set up that they both went to the same place, Thorax and Ember both have a heart-to-heart near the local kind of watering hole, each helping the other understand what they lack. It's very good use of these characters. You know, he's not assertive enough, and she's too aggressive and competitive. You know, she doesn't think
It's
about
kind of the Rainbow Dash Fluttershy dynamic right there.
Yeah, but played with much higher stakes.
Of course.
Yeah. It's the same thing, but with much higher stakes and other cuts of meat. But and they go to afterwards, once they've kind of had their nice heart-to-heart, they go to see Spike and show him what they've kind of learned. They both kind of struggle a little bit, but Thorax kind of gets it immediately. Ember still struggles with kind of expressing her feelings.
I'm mad!
Yeah, I'm very upset. They really have to, you know, she has to kind of really draw it out of herself to get it to where she can talk about how she feels about things. And they forgive him, and all three are now friends. It was a fairly believable plot for Spike and Ember and for Spike. I mean, that he would stress out too much. I mean, we saw that in Equestria games. He'd stress out too much when under pressure. It was a bad decision. He should have really, you know, trusted them. But by the end of the episode, he's done that. And Ember kind of points out that it's kind of weird that do friends tell each other how they learned? Yeah, kind of being.
Apparently,
she's not fourth wall breaking because she's not aware that she's, you know, this is a show, but she's unwittingly being very good analysis of this. Like, that's a little weird, you know. It's not as this is not as good as Ember's first appearance. You know, Thorax and Ember's first appearances were better than this, but I think they were effectively used in this episode, and those two, their starting episodes were really good. But yeah, that's most of what I had to say. It was okay. It wasn't, oh my goodness, you know, Crusaders of the Lost
but you know,
but
there's going to be so much ship art of Thorax and Ember now.
Yeah, and there's still gonna be stuff with Spike and Spike and Ember
Ember.
as well.
And Spike and Thorax.
Yeah, that's
Probably,
true.
but
I just
I
don't want to think about it.
Yeah, it's but probably less. I would think. You'll probably get a lot more Thorax and Ember than there ever was before, because they've never interacted before this. But I still think you'll get plenty of Spike Ember stuff. Which, it's an actual situation that makes sense in a few years when he's kind of gone through dragon puberty. That relationship might actually work because they're both dragons, and she seems kind of tsundere on him. I'm going to be.
Yeah.
She likes him, but she doesn't really want to say that she likes him, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to handle her feelings, and he's a little too good at handling his own feelings, so it's just like that makes it kind of awkward for her to deal with him. But yeah, that was most of it. A little bit of a shorter talk this time because there wasn't as much to delve into in this. And it was a good use of the characters, decent episode. Not I would put this in about, there's on the grand scheme of things, at one end you have Dragon Quest for Spike episodes, and on the other end you have, the Spike Applejack episode. It's like, this is, if Dragon Quest is 5 and the other episode is 0, this is probably 3. It's good, but it's not great.
Yeah. I was one thing. I was wondering if there's gonna be an episode where we see another changeling pack with another ruler, because it kind of makes it sound like that Thorax is just the king of his changeling pack, and there's more packs out there with other rulers.
I don't. Here's what I think. I think that he's probably in charge of probably 90% of the changelings. The vast majority of changelings, when the changeover happened and they went all weird, most of them went ahead and decided to follow Thorax. A few of them went renegade, and eventually those will probably go find Chrysalis and try and kind of reestablish their pack, with her.
Okay.
I think there might be some renegade ones that are just kind of out on their own and not associated with Chrysalis yet, but only because they haven't found Chrysalis. She's out in hiding. She's probably trying to find a place to build a new hive so she can rebuild her army, and she eventually will recruit all the old style changelings and go, yeah, you're gonna be with me now. You're mine. And
yeah, there should be an there should be an awesome episode with Chrysalis and some changelings. Oh, and add T-Rex and Sombra.
No, but I do expect there to be something with the changelings. They built up so much on the changelings this season that I expect we'll probably get a more in-depth episode on exploring how the changelings are now, because we Celestial Advice, we got a little bit of a hint of it. Here we got a hint of it. They're probably foreshadowing something down the line that's going to be changeling related.
And then at the end of it, Chrysalis turns good.
At some point, I think you need to go, you know what, we really don't need to reform these ones. Just let them be who they are. I think this series is reformed so many of its villains that it's running out of antagonists.
It's have a villain? Make it your friend.
Yeah.
Come here, T-Rex.
Yeah, T-Rex is about... Yeah, T-Rex and King Sombra are about the only ones that... Well, I guess more I go at it, there's a lot more than I thought that are just, when you start listing them out, King Sombra, Tyrek, and Chrysalis are all villains, but they haven't reformed. You have Trixie was a...
She wasn't a villain, though.
Yeah, she was more of an antagonist for that episode, but
she wasn't a
really
villain.
a villain. Yeah, there's a difference between kind of just being an antagonist, you know, being the opposing force, and being a straight up villain. You know, and when she was
no, Trixie, you're not a villain. You're an ass.
The great and powerful Trixie is not a mule. Or a muse, for that matter.
Yeah, there's, you know, because you can have, you know, in Starlight, you've got, well, I mean, pretty much the entire cast of To Where and Back Again was all reformed villains or antagonists. You know, people, and Trixie, you know, her one time of kind of seeming to be a villain was she was under kind of the control of the Alicorn amulet, so you can't really blame her too much for it. You know,
and although Thorax was never a villain.
Yeah, that too. He was never really a villain.
He was never even an antagonist.
Yeah, he wasn't even. Yeah,
he was all like, "I just want to be friends."
Yeah.
So
even
he was never antagonist. Even in the episode that had him as the antagonist, he wasn't antagonistic.
Well, and you know,
they'd be good guys, the antagonists.
If I can get a word in edgewise. Even in the flashback they show of Shining and Cadence's wedding, you know, it shows him kind of, you know, he's there, but he's kind of, I'm here, I'm swarming.
Roar, fear me, roar.
I don't really want to do anything, so I'm just going to kind of fly like everybody else, but I'm not really going to do anything because I don't really want to do that. Like, I have to be here because but it doesn't mean I have to be a jerk. I can just be here, and anytime anybody threatens me, I can just run away. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do with Changelings this season. They might do something fun. Any last thoughts on the episode, Triple Threat?
Oh, ponies are cute.
And never take Derpy's muffin, you monster.
Tell that to the doctor. I mean,
phrasing.
Good night, everybody.